Oh goody. I don't know how many like SUNLU filament drives I went through, but like they're just ridiculous. They keep getting caught, and this just fell down on this whole fucking print and just ruined it. And just to be clear, there's nothing wrong with these filament rolls. This one gets snagged, and so did this one. eSun, brand new filament roll. Nothing wrong with the outer edges or anything. You just get tugged. No matter if it's heavy or light, there's just something that goes wrong. Now it has outputs here, and at the top on both sides. That's meant to be used as a roller as well. It's got rollers in there, so you can actually use it whilst you're actually printing. So this is exactly what happens. You try to place it straight, but when it pulls, eventually it will get caught. And it looks like you can remove these rollers, so that's no problem. See, no matter what you do, these just end up going wonky, and that's just not reliable. So what I designed is this, and this is just iteration 1. I'm gonna improve upon it. I'll show you why, but basically, so this is what you can pull out, and we're gonna shove this in, and it clicks in nicely, but this still rolls. And what we're gonna do is place this as it should be before it starts spinning out of into different directions, and we're gonna basically place this on top, and we're gonna secure this with 3M tape. Also, to be fair, when it does work, it does even out, but there we go again. When it gets to the sides, the same issue arises. So no, it's not a good idea in my opinion. The way it is, it definitely needs a roller to the side. So we've got basically another roller here. There's a little bit of things that I can improve upon, because this roller is actually a bit too tight. But the whole idea is to prevent it from shifting. So we have 3 rollers instead of just 2, because the rollers are on the ground. Imagine that the spool, that the wire is going downwards. However, this is going to the side, so the force is that way obviously. And you can also have it going up, so up like that, but then there's no rollers at the top, of course. So we only have rollers at the bottom, and if we have the filament going out the side, the force is going to be obviously that way. So we need to redirect or compensate for that. Another issue could be the tight 90-degree angle. So maybe we could add a little print, a bigger curvature than the small one that is caused by the PTFE tube. So we can make a bigger angle, bigger diameter, bigger radius. Okay, so I've been running this setup for a few days now. So we've got this and the roller in the back, but this is already preset up and ready to go. So I'm gonna actually do the other one so you can actually see what is involved and what it does. So we've got the 90-degree bend here, and we've got the secondary roller to counteract the force that's created by the pulling from the side. Because remember, we've got rollers at the bottom by default, but we don't have one on the sides, which I believe is essential when the force is being pulled to the side. There's no turning whatsoever anymore. This is just like perfection now, so I'm very happy with the design. So I've been running this, the actual heater inside at around 50 degrees. So remember, we've got a print here, and this is printed in PETG, so obviously this is plastics. If you are worried about this warping, well, mine didn't, and I've been running this for like 24 hours or something. So yeah, although this is printed in PETG, this withstands the 50 degrees chamber inside, so I'm not worried about it warping. If you guys are, you can just print it even the high durability filament like ASA or ABS. But basically, to start it off, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just actually I cleaned this yesterday, and I'm gonna clean this one more time actually, because we are gonna actually tape this. And this, what I use is 3M acrylic foam tape. It withstands heat, is perfect for these kind of jobs, but what we want to do is we'll make sure there's no residue or any dirt before we stick it. So I'm gonna clean it here. George, if you want to be extra thorough, you might want to use isopropyl alcohol to make sure there's no dirt or debris or any grease, which there shouldn't be. But before I do that, I'm going to put in my silica gel back in the spot where it belongs, and I'm going to cover that up so I don't have to deal with this later on, because I had it removed while I was trying to figure out the design for this. Because I do like this filament dryer, but it has some serious flaws that could actually ruin your prints, your printer, and waste a lot of filament itself. We've got the inside clean. I'm going to clean the outside quickly, because we're going to tape stuff to the side as well. So it's very straightforward. It's all friction fit, but say you have this roller which you remove by just pulling it. Really, it just kind of clicks in place and declicks. And then to insert it into this, you put it through one hole and through the other hole. Once it's flush like that, you can actually click it into place like this. Done. And make sure it spins freely, and then they are ready to use. You see the metal between there? We want it aligned so that we can fit this. I'm gonna pull out, yeah, between the two filament rolls, and so that they're aligned perfectly. It just helps with the alignment, so it's not offset to one side or the other. So basically, that's going to be the fit. So we have the rollers touching the filament roll on all sides, the bottom sides and one on the side, so that all forces are compensated. So now we can actually apply the 3M tape. So let's do that. It's a bit of a dodgy roll, but it's the only roll I have that's 20mm. I have other rolls, but they are different widths. It's great for resisting heat, perfect for like jobs like this, because obviously this is a filament dryer, so it heats up obviously. And now I like to get it stuck in place by using my thumb, and I'm kind of cut off the excess like that. But I also want it on the middles, and same thing, use the thumb to make sure it's stuck in place. Then I'm gonna go do two more, and I'm actually gonna use the thinner tape. It's a bit excessive, I mean, for a filament dryer, but considering how important the filament is, at the same time I think it's kind of essential, because if the filament don't roll correctly, it's just not gonna get a good print, is it? So bit annoying that I have to do this, but I don't really have the time to wait for a new filament roller to arrive or buy one. I don't really want to buy a new one. I mean, this does the job great, besides this little screw up that has been given me. So I thought, let's just design this quickly, because to be honest, it's quite easily fixable, like once you understand what needed to be done. But like, why the hell do we have to do this ourselves? Why can't a company just get it right for once? And the way I like to peel it is I like to lift one corner and pull the tape, pull the actual acrylic, and then we can remove the actual masking tape on top. I don't know if it's correct me calling it masking tape, but protective layer. But that's just the easiest way for me to pull them off. So now I want to be careful, because like once this touches the area that you want to glue, it kind of sticks. So I'm not exactly saying it's not removable. It is removable, but it just sticks really well. That's the beauty of the 3M tape. It actually, that's actually the reason why I'm using this, is because you can remove the objects without damaging the original. So like, this is why I'm not using any super glue. And you see now it's just perfectly stuck, but I'm gonna make sure it's fully stuck, like 100%. Apply lots of pressure. So I'm got my back here, my back of the hand. I'm just gonna apply pressure. Also, I'm not sure if you guys seen, but they got like 45-degree bends here because the corners bend. So that was quite essential actually, to make sure it fits inside without bowing. Now we can actually fixate on the next big issue, is these, the PTFE tubes. After a good few months of use, eventually from the dragging tension from a 90-degree angle, look at the bend it causes, and this creates even more restriction because of that pull, that 90-degree pull. I created a 90-degree bend, and we got around 1 centimeter spacing here to give us room from this, so we can actually tape it here, and you see we've got some spare space here, and it's meant to fit 5mm PTFE tubes, and then you can shove it through it. And this way there is no chance of it doing this, because we've got a soft, very soft turn, and this is 10 centimeters in diameter, so we've got a very soft turn. So I'm not gonna use these because these are, look at that bend, they're already compromised, so I'm gonna use brand new ones actually. And this actually got a larger hole inside as well. The hole shouldn't be small because any imperfections like this can cause issues, especially if it's a tight PTFE tube. So I'm not going to do that. And same thing we're going to do with the 3M tape. So, and we want to push the PTFE tube through this first before we actually tape it shut. And I'm not going to push in too much of the PTFE tube, just a tiny bit. And then I'm going to peel off the protective layer. Okay. And now we can align it with the PTFE tube stuck, and I'm going to set it at 90 degree, so it's straight down. And same thing, we're going to tape it, push it with force, and that is pretty much ready to go. So I got another one here, and this was actually a prototype that actually I ended up not using because this had right angle edges and wouldn't fit correctly because I mentioned this is curved. So I had to put angles on these ones. But this one I was going to throw away, but actually now that I realize I actually need it for demonstration, not just demonstration purposes, actually use scenarios, I need it for actually aligning the filament as I put it in from the side, as I showed you before. So let's get this glued in. The only thing to consider is that little area. See that? I'm not sure what that is, but you can actually skip it by having this side touch this and using it for alignment, and then presto. See, just skips that area completely. I'm going to put some pressure on it, and now you can actually put in the filament rolls easily. And the fans that blow the heat out aren't interfered and can do its job still. Neither is this area, so it all is clear. So yeah, if you're in my kind of scenario where your filament roll is like high up because your printers are on a normal desk size, you know, like at your waist level, put it on the side, and now should we actually shoving through the hole as if we were actually using this. I was using this filament roll when the whole box dropped. Okay, that's that. And remember, we saw the issue before of the whole box dropping. I'm going to need to print another one of these so I can put it here, but you can see my point. Now it's going to be aligned with the rollers correctly, even when it's on the side. And now we can put it back, and the alignment stays. Also, this may seem off topic, but look at what I just made right now. So I redesigned the shelf here that was holding the SUNLU filament dryer. Now this is a bit different because now the filament runs out the center. So you can see we still got that 90-degree soft bend, but it's going right down here. Now this is a bit of an overkill and not exactly part of the 3D files or anything like that, but there's now no chance of it collapsing down left or right because it's going straight to its side. So I really like this implementation that I made. This took me around maybe 4 hours in total in terms of cutting. I used half of the door, because remember, I'm not sure those of you who watch my renovation videos, but I basically destroyed the closet, removed the 2 doors, and I used one of the doors as this little shelf now. Now you can see the sides aren't exactly the sexiest, but the shape is lovely. And yeah, because this is like a test shelf in a way, I mean, it's very durable, it's very thick, and should hold a lot of weight, so I can actually store more stuff at the front now as well, because you can see we expanded it and it's all rounded off. And the center where the filament holes come from, they won't go to the left. It's just like a massive center hole, so I'm very happy with it. And now I've just been cleaning everything up because I had to make new holes, new concrete holes in this side. And yeah, just secured it all and screwed it in from here. So I just did a print with my whole setup that I just made. However, what I noticed that the rubber rollers against cardboard creates insane friction, so it kind of defeated the purpose of what I was going for. If I hold that is not smooth at all, and I blame the rubber for this. So I'm gonna design some in plastic and print them off. Also, as I'm trying to remove this bearing, the rubber actually looks like it can come off, so that would be the easier way out if you do not want to print the rollers. And so far I printed like 2, so I've got one in here and one down there as well, so both of them are on this side. And yeah, there's much less resistance to them with the rubber. I still got one there to replace, so I will see and report the results after this. By the way, in case you're wondering why this one is different to that, it's because this one was printed with the rubber rollers, whilst this one I had the rollers removed. So there you go, there's a massive difference as it is. So yeah, I was completely right about these rollers. So the rubber ones are a major issue because they are rubber, and with cardboard it just doesn't go. So this is the one that I'm also going to include in the 3D files. So this is around 3.8 on the inside, same with this metal rod that I got, and on the outside I think it's around 1 centimeter, so thicker than the rubber ones. And there's a few ways you can go about this. So first of all, you can actually, if you don't want to go through the printing method, you can just remove first of all the rollers. So we've got one here that I'm having a bit of trouble removing, but let's try it. There we go, I actually got it removed. So now we've got the bearings off. We can also remove this rubber, and you can just leave it at that and use these without the rubber. It's actually removes like all the friction if you got cardboard, which actually makes the process so much easier. It's a bit tricky like this actually, but you can get it off. There we go. So the rubber is off, and then you can either use this. So this was initially a 4mm drawn steel rod that I cut to, I think it's around 8.5 centimeters. You can measure it compared to the original. So you see I got a drawn steel rod here. I would put the chuck open, and then I get some sandpaper, I think it was around 120 grit, put it like that and spin it in the sink. Because this is 4mm, whilst the inside of the rollers of the bearings is around 3.8, so file it down until it's around 3.8, but basically just use the bearing to check for the thickness. It doesn't take as long as you might think, it only takes a minute or so. And then you can actually, I put a very tiny bit of a drop of super glue just on the tip, and then put the bearing on top because it was a bit slightly loose. I don't want it coming off inside the filament dryer. Then you can put the print on, and then it's ready to go, just like that. So I'm going to use this method for the rollers on the side, but for the bottom one, towards the center, I'm going to have it like this. And that I found is the lowest tension, lowest friction. Rubber is just a nightmare of an idea. There's too much restrictions, there's too much tension caused by using the rubber. So I'm going to use basically these two. So we've got print going here, and this is like almost full roll, and just listen to that. Zero tension. And that's what we wanted. There was a bit of restriction before, but after changing it to plastic printed roller and removing the rubber, so I think that is a much better state now than when we started, as opposed to using the rollers with the rubber sleeves. Guys, you can get all the 3D printed files for this SUNLU filament dryer mod in my Etsy, link in the description below. If you have any nightmare stories and advice about them, leave a comment, I would love to hear them. Like, share, comment and sub, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace!